are we trying to get interested in DevOps? And the answer is everybody. The pictures there are meant to illustrate that you can go for everything, or you can, in this case, literally cherry pick an idea or two. You can read through all the ideas and all the philosophies and all the suggestions that we have in DevOps, and you can say, yeah, wonderful, I want all of that, I'm going to have it now, and we're going to incorporate it, and we're going to be completely different in the way we work. Or you can look through it and say, whoa, that looks really difficult, that's a lot, but that's a good little idea. Let me take that one idea now and try that out, and then maybe something else next month or next year. Both of those approaches are immensely valuable. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can be all, or it can be a tiny part, or anywhere in between. And it's been seen and demonstrated to apply to a whole range of organizations, from the absolute leading edge, we'll try every new idea that comes up and keep the ones that work to us, all the way through to organizations that are quite frankly abysmal. In the course, they're not case studies, they're case stories, giving you links to videos and talks from organizations that have tried some of these things and their results. And one of the ones they use is the ING Bank in the Netherlands. Now, they took a lot of great DevOps ideas, and they reckon it's absolutely improved the way they work and the services they deliver. Now, I first came across ING Bank back in the early 1990s when I was working with a software testing community, and we went to the conference in Amsterdam, and they took us to see their brand new innovative idea. It happened to be on usability testing, which is another thing that I can evangelize about for ages. But it was typical of ING then that when they heard of a new idea, they tried it out. If it worked, they built it and developed it, and then started very generously telling the rest of the world what they'd done and how it worked, and why don't you try it? And ING did that with DevOps. They're an absolute leading edge, innovative company from an IT perspective, and they tried these new ideas out, and it helped a company that was already very good get even better. Now, in my time in IBM, I remember working with another bank, and I best not name this bank, but they were very much at the other end of the spectrum from ING. They were appalling. They took a good software product and put it in so badly that it made things worse. There was no encouraging culture. Everybody see each other as competitors, and it really was just about the worst place I've ever worked. They saw DevOps as a last opportunity to salvage abysmal performance, and they took lots of ideas, real dramatic do or die, as it were, final finish, and it made a big difference to them as well. And they did not get outsourced. They survived as an IT organization and actually flourished, and now are quite good. And the point I really want to get out of that is that it has been demonstrated to work across the whole range. I'm sure all of you who've taken the time to come and listen here are up at the ING end of the spectrum, but be assured, no matter where you are, there is something good and useful you can get from the ideas in DevOps. Whether you're really excellent now, you can get even better. And if you've got large scope for improvement, then there are some relatively easy wins that you can get from the ideas in DevOps. As I say, it can take you all the way to transformation or slight reduction in some area that's hurting you. So don't think you need to be anywhere particular for this to be helpful. So talked about that, and it's an opportunity for me just to step back and get on one of my soapboxes maybe a little bit and talk about the idea of using frameworks and guidance, whether that's ITIL or Agile or Scrum or IT for IT or TOGAF or any other idea you've got. It's an idea, as a phrase that that Mark Smalley keeps quoting. And it was first said about ITIL, but insert the framework of your choice, DevOps, ITIL, or anything else. They are all great places to start and terrible places to finish. There is no off the peg solution that fits everybody, because the organizations are not standard. There's no one size fits all. Different organizations have very different situations and priorities and all the rest. So all the advice you get, and that's whether it comes as a bundled up framework, a set of books, or a consultant telling you what they think you should do next, it should be a starting point and a suggestion, because you, every one of you, are the world's greatest expert on where you are at the moment and your situation and what's likely sensible for you. I'm obviously pretty old and been around a long time now, but back in the early days before I got into IT, I spent some time working for the UK Prison Service. I was actually doing time and motion studies and work process improvement and engineering side of the house. And it was a very important time for me. It helped me for the next 40 years, because prisons, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with working environments in prisons, but they're very strange places. You take your general ideas that you think apply everywhere, and you take that into the prison environment, and you realize that you've presumed things that are almost universal, but aren't like that in a prison. Very silly example, fire exits. Everywhere you go, the fire exit is somewhere you can open and get away if the building catches fire. In a prison, the fire exits are locked, because if you make them openable, the inmates won't wait for the fire alarm to go off before they use them. So those kind of presumptions that you think apply everywhere, prison is a great environment for realizing, whoa, I've presumed something here. Most people are not in that extremist situation, but there will be things that are different for your kind of organization, where maybe speed is the absolute priority, or safety is the absolute priority, or something else is the driver. You know what's right in your organization, and that's the most important thing you apply to DevOps or any other approach you come up with. So you pick and mix, cherry pick those ideas based on your knowledge. So the most important element of trust that we talk about in DevOps is trusting yourself and your colleagues. And if what somebody has proposed to you feels like a good idea for you in your situation, it probably is a good idea. And if it feels like the wrong idea, you fight like hell against it, because what you don't want is consultants and people like me coming in from outside and saying, oh, I know all about this. I've done it in so many other places before. You just need to do it like that. If when they've described what worked elsewhere, you feel it wouldn't work in your environment, then it's your job to say so and to fight against it, because it's almost certain that you are right. So you need to use that local knowledge and that understanding, and be proud of that local knowledge and understanding, and be confident that you are right about these things. So that applies to every framework we talk about, and it certainly applies to DevOps. And I've seen that constructively applied in some places where organizations have got exceedingly good and talented and staff. It's good. In other places where they're having trouble recruiting the kind of staff, they've had to cut down on some of the empowerment sometimes, and it's a shame, but they have fought against over empowerment, and they're probably right to do it.